Coming up on Arirang News. South Korea's National Assembly turns down a motion seeking approval to arrest the leader of the main opposition party, Lee Jae-myung, over his allegations of corruption. But it seems many in East Democratic Party decided not to follow party line as it was a close call by just one vote. The latest US dollar rally is pressuring down the values of other currencies. This particularly for emerging market currencies, with the South Korean won suffering the second biggest loss this month among them after the Russian ruble. One of the world's largest tech trade shows, the Mobile World Congress, returns to Barcelona in full scale. Tens of thousands of attendees are expected at MWC 2023 to check out all the eye-catching technology from new smartphones to the latest AI chatbot avatars. Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in South Korea. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We begin with news that's been one of the hottest issues at the country's National Assembly for weeks. The nation's parliament today held a vote on whether to arrest Lee Jae-myung, the leader of the main opposition party, on allegations of corruption. The motion was narrowly rejected, though, after some chaos in the vote counting process. Our National Assembly correspondent Han Sung-woo has the details.
South Korea's National Assembly, after a considerable delay due to vote counting complications, has rejected the motion seeking parliamentary consent for arresting Democratic Party of Korea chairman Lee Jae-myung. In an anonymous vote during Monday's plenary session, 139 out of 297 lawmakers present voted for the motion, while 138 voted against. There were also 9 abstentions and 11 invalid votes. 2 particular votes caused confusion after the Assembly couldn't firmly establish whether they were votes against the motion or invalid votes. In the end, after discussions with the ruling People Power Party and the Democratic Party, Speaker of the Assembly Kim Jin-pyo announced that one would be counted as a vote against the motion and the other an invalid vote.
Keep quiet, please. The matter has already been discussed with the floor leaders and those supervising the vote count.
The Democratic Party holds 169 out of 299 seats in Parliament. And while Parliament is in session, prosecutors had required by law a majority of registered lawmakers to be present when the motion was put to a vote, and a majority of those lawmakers in attendance to approve it, meaning 149 votes for the motion were needed on Monday for it to be passed. The result comes less than 2 weeks after the prosecution requested an arrest warrant for Lee on allegations of corruption linked to property development projects launched when he was mayor of Seongnam City and third-party bribery involving Seongnam Football Club. It was the first time in the nation's constitutional history that prosecutors had sought such a warrant for the sitting leader of a main opposition party. Despite the prosecution failing to win parliamentary consent, it's widely expected they will indict the opposition leader without detaining him, or request another arrest warrant after further investigation into other matters. Meanwhile, Monday's meeting also saw legislators pass a government reorganization plan that includes the launch of a new agency under the Foreign Ministry devoted to consular affairs, dealing specifically with the lives and interests of Koreans overseas. The revision will also see the nation's Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs upgraded to a cabinet-level government body. Han Sung-woo, Arirang News.
In a commencement speech on Monday to college students in Seoul, President Yoon said innovation is only possible when what he called the special interests with a stranglehold on society are beaten and equality is established. This was in a surprise appearance at Yonsei University.
자유와 공정을 담보하는 법이 짓밟히고 과학과 진리에 위배되는 반지성주의가 판치고 기득권 카르텔의 부당한 지대 추구가 방치된다면 어떻게 혁신을 기대하고 미래를 이야기할 수 있겠습니까?
Calling the graduates the future of the country, he said he'll finish his 3 major reform goals of education, pensions, and labor to give them courage and hope for the challenge that lie ahead. The presidential office explained that this event was made possible by the lifting of COVID-19 prevention measures, so we took the opportunity to congratulate them while encouraging them. South Korea's economy is expected to get a boost from the end of China's zero-COVID policy and its reopening, but the benefit might not be so big because China has less demand now for intermediate goods like Korean-made semiconductors, displays, and steel. According to a report published on Monday by the Bank of Korea, the growth in China's economy is expected to surge from 3% last year to 5% this year. It estimated that would boost South Korea's economy by around 0.3 percentage points because of an increase in exports to China and a greater number of tourists. The boost for Korea, it says, is likely going to be limited, however, because China now has a greater self-sufficiency in intermediate goods and Chinese consumers are buying less Korean-made goods like cosmetics and other goods. Amid lingering uncertainty around the inflation outlook, the latest strengthening of the US dollar is devaluing other currencies. This particularly for emerging market currencies, with the South Korean won weakening, the second most among them this month after the Russian ruble. Our Shin-Ayong has more.
The South Korean currency continues to lose ground against the US dollar as fears of inflation rise in the United States. According to data filed by Bloomberg, as of Monday morning Korean local time, the South Korean won has weakened against the US dollar so far this month by 6.32%. Among 23 emerging markets, this is the second largest decline next to the Russian ruble. The main reason for the strong greenback is last month's personal consumption expenditure, or PCE, which rose by 4.7% compared to the same period last year, exceeding market expectations and signaling that inflation in the U.S. is accelerating again. One expert also says the Bank of Korea's recent decision not to raise interest rates again put more pressure on Korean won to depreciate.
Because the labor statistics in the United States came out very strongly, and because the PCE inflation rate for January was higher than expected, there is now speculation that perhaps the Fed will raise the interest rates more than was expected. And that is pressuring dollar to become stronger. And for Korea, especially because Korea froze its interest rates during the last monetary policy meeting, and Korea will not be able to raise the rates until the next policy meeting, which is in April.
He forecasts that as long as the Fed raises rates and the rate gap between South Korea and the U.S. remains large, there will be pressure on the Korean won to depreciate. Meanwhile, on Monday, the won closed at 1,323 against the greenback, the exchange rate rising by 18.21. This is the first time it's closed at over 1320 since December 7th last year. Shin-Ayong, Arirang News.
Soju is locally known as the alcoholic drink of the working class in Korea. In recent days, its prices have been making national headlines, adding to the concerns of ordinary people, and authorities are stepping in to address the matter. Yoon explains.
Soju has long been dubbed the alcoholic drink of the working class in Korea, where it's appreciated for its low price and accessibility. Having a significant part in local culture, this drink has become a daily necessity item alongside instant ramen noodles. But recent soju price hikes, driven by inflation, are adding to the burden for consumers, and the South Korean government has stepped up and launched an intensive probe into the whole industry. Since the financial crisis in 1998, annual inflation for alcoholic beverages has lingered below 2% most years, and in the few years where it reached the 4% range, consumers were left shocked. But a bottle of soju that commonly cost around 4,000 won in 2021 is now being sold for 6,000 won in many restaurants. Industry officials say the price of raw and subsidiary materials accounted for the price hike of nearly 6%, with the government pushing for cooperation by related industries to restrict price increases.
Soju prices reaching 6,000 won indicate severe psychological pressure on the working class.
Policies are important to stabilize prices, but cooperation between related industries is also needed.
The government has also launched a probe into the liquor industry to move against the average price of soju reaching 6,000 won at restaurants. The Ministry of Economy and Finance, the National Tax Service, as well as the Fair Trade Commission have already begun a series of meetings with industry officials to check whether the price hike is justified. According to government officials, the price of soju needs to be controlled, as it is more than just a bottle of alcohol, but is a product that is deeply embedded in the culture of daily life in South Korea. According to data, the average South Korean adult consumed 52.9 bottles of soju in 2022. 이은진, Arirang News.
Over in Spain, the world's largest mobile trade show, the Mobile World Congress, returns for this year's showcase in full scale. It's expected to wow tens of thousands of attendees with the latest tech, ranging from new phones to AI chatbots. Our Lee Dae-yeon brings what to look forward to. The biggest mobile and telecommunications trade show in Europe is back. The 2023 edition of the Mobile World Congress, hosted every year in Barcelona, kicked off on Monday. And the themes for this year's show: 5G, fintech, OpenNet, cloud technology, digital everything. The goal of the MWC is to show the expansion of telecommunication technologies, which create opportunities in industries ranging from entertainment and manufacturing to smart mobility. More than 2,000 companies and institutions from around 200 countries are taking part, while over 80,000 visitors are expected. South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics has its latest products and services on display, including the Galaxy S23 series and Galaxy Book 3 Ultra. The company is showcasing its 5G network technology and a roadmap for the next generation 6G network. One of South Korea's biggest wireless telecommunications operators, SK Telecom, is introducing the company's developments in AI, urban air mobility or UAM, 6G, and the metaverse. Under the theme of AI, the wave of innovation, visitors to SK's booth can experience UAM and AI-based robots in person. The company's CEO will also likely give a speech about plans to boost its AI technology. Another South Korean mobile carrier, KT, is presenting its full-scale AI-related services. This includes a solution to increase the efficiency of AI logistics centers' operations and a service that provides real-time optimized transportation routes using AI technology. The recent AI chat fad, ChatGPT, is also a key technology for visitors. Microsoft's booth is expected to be packed with visitors trying to experience the generative AI-based software. Meanwhile, China's participation in the event is also garnering attention, as the country did not participate at CES 2023, which was held last month, largely due to the country's zero-COVID policy and growing competition in U.S.-China technology sectors. Beijing's biggest ICT companies, including Huawei and Xiaomi, are showcasing their latest mobile products. Lee Dae-yeon, Arirang News. For many who struggle with a sleeping disorder, a new market is targeting them with digital therapeutics and smart mattresses, among others. Our Lee Soo-jin tells us more.
Insomnia, a common type of sleep disorder, is giving people across the globe sleepless nights. But it has also become a burgeoning business. In Korea, the number of people suffering from insomnia has been on an upward trend for the past 4 years, with more than 680,000 people seeking treatment in 2021. The global market for insomnia treatments was worth more than $5 billion in 2022 and is slated to top $6 billion by 2028. As the market continues to grow, the sleep tech industry has seen the release of many promising products.
One of those sleep tech products is this smart mattress. It uses new materials and shifts to fit your body as you move in your sleep.
One domestic home appliance company jumped into the sleep tech industry with the release of smart mattresses late last year.
We have replaced the springs in our mattresses with the more advanced sleep style technology. With sleep style technology, the hardness of the mattress can be adjusted to the user.
Sleep tech devices are not the only area of the insomnia market that is advancing. South Korea's Ministry of Food and Drug Safety on the 15th gave its first domestic marketing approval for the digital therapeutic app Soms for insomnia treatment.
This is the first time that a digital therapeutics device developed by a Korean company has received a domestic marketing license, thereby providing insomnia patients with a new treatment method.
The Soms app treats sleep disorders by giving real-time feedback on sleep habits over 6 to 9 weeks.
Patients fill out sleep journals every day. The sleep efficiency index is then calculated based on these entries. The journal entries also help patients keep track of how they slept at night. This helps patients take the first step in curing insomnia, realizing what their sleeping habits are and how much their sleeping disorder has progressed.
There are still several hurdles to overcome for domestic digital therapeutics, as they are not yet included in the state health insurance system. The future of the domestic insomnia market remains bright, though, as cutting-edge sleep tech products and digital therapeutics continue to emerge. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
The number of tourists in South Korea in January increased by about 5 times on year. According to data released by the Korea Tourism Organization on Monday, more than 434,000 people visited Korea last month, over a 430% increase in comparison to January last year. Tourists from Japan made up more than 15% of the total, with almost 67,000 followed closely by Taiwan, the United States, and Hong Kong. The most notable difference on year was the number of tourists from Hong Kong, which rose by over 35,000%. The rise in numbers was attributed to the Lunar New Year holiday and the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions. After 40 years of dispute, the Korean government has given a conditional go-ahead to build and operate a cable car system over Seoraksan National Park. But the decision has sparked fierce backlash from environmentalists. Jung Eun-ju has more.
Plans to open a second cable car line at Seoraksan National Park have been conditionally authorized after more than 40 years of controversy. The Ministry of Environment on Monday gave conditional consent to an environmental impact assessment to build and operate a cable car system over a natural reserve area on Mount Seoraksan. The Environment Ministry's regional office in Wonju said a supplementary report submitted by the Yangyang County government included measures to reduce the project's negative environmental effects. The plan to build a cable car is one of the Yoon administration's 15 key regional development tasks for Gangwon Province and was a campaign pledge by Gangwon Province Governor Kim Jin-tae. The project, pursued since 1982, seeks to build a 3.5-kilometer-long cable car system between the Seoraksan National Park's Osek area in the county of Yangyang and a spot near the mountain's summit. The site is within a state-designated nature reserve as well as a biosphere reserve designated by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. The plans have been long disputed over its environmental effect and were previously turned down several times because of environmental impact assessments. It's also caused a deep divide between those pushing for regional development and others fighting for environmental conservation. Preservationists argue the region's ecology, including mountain goats, would sustain irreversible damage. The Korea Environment Institute has previously stated that the considerably adverse impact the project will have on the environment renders it inappropriate. Environmentalists have also expressed concern that the latest decision may bring on a national park development boom and pledged to protest the plans. Meanwhile, those for development claim the project would provide an economic boost to the local economy. The decision marks the clearance of all administrative hurdles for the project, besides a regional budget review by the Interior Ministry for over 50 billion won. If everything goes as planned, construction will begin next year and the cable car will start operation in 2027. 정은주, Arirang News.
Friday marked the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. With no clear side in the war ending, our Song Yoo-jin spoke with the Ukrainian ambassador to South Korea about a wide range of topics, from how the past year has been for Kyiv and how the situation will play out this year.
A year into Russia's war against Ukraine. To look back at the past year and discuss how to prepare for its second year, defense experts gathered in Seoul on Monday. There, I had a chance to sit down with the Ukrainian ambassador to South Korea. He describes 2022 as a year of challenges, but with hope.
It was a really difficult year for us, but we are resisting, and the year of, as well, not only the suffering, but the year of achievements and heroism of Ukrainian people. Our military forces was managed to liberate half of occupied territories.
There's speculation that Moscow could carry out a large-scale offensive around spring in order to change the course of the war in its favor. More upgraded support from allies is crucial not only for the sake of Ukraine, but for the world.
Now we are talking about the air defense capabilities and long-range missiles. At least our close partners from the NATO and from the European Union already understand that as much they supply us with the military equipment, including the sophisticated one, as better and earlier the situation will be resolved.
As for the chances of peace negotiations, the ambassador stressed that could only happen once Kyiv retakes all occupied territories and once Moscow pays the price for its war crimes.
Russia should accept and repair all damages that they done to, I'm not talking about the population damages, I'm talking about economic damages. Population damages, I mean how many people's already died, it's absolutely unpayable. And it's the matter of the International Criminal Court.
And the ambassador believes South Korea can help bring peace to Ukraine.
We hope that the government will be able to change this situation and decide to provide Ukraine with the military assistance. But the other assistance, like political assistance, the direct dialogue between to our presidents.
송유진, Arirang News.
Black and white images of Korean independent activists have been restored to color and are set for public display here in Seoul to mark Independence Movement Day on March 1st. That would be this coming Wednesday. The Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs said on Monday that images of 14 prominent independent activists, including An Jung-geun, Kim Gu, and Yoon Bong-gil, have been restored using AI and face restoration technology. The images will be shared on a screen outside the National Museum of Korean Contemporary History in Gwanghwamun Square. The display will be on until April 11th. The South Korean national football has today appointed Jürgen Klinsmann as its new head coach. The Korean Football Association announced that the former German World Cup winner will lead the Taeguk Warriors through the next World Cup in the USA, Canada, and Mexico in just over 3 years from now. A member of the 1990 West Germany squad that clinched the World Cup that year, Klinsmann is most famous for his stints at some of the most prestigious clubs in Europe, including Inter Milan, Bayern Munich, as well as Tottenham Hotspur. As a head coach, he led Germany to third place in the 2006 World Cup and the United States to the round of 16 in the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. BTS member J-Hope is poised to enlist in the military, having canceled his earlier request for a postponement. According to his agency, Big Hit Music, this past Sunday, specific details including the draft date will be shared once they become available. Fellow BTS member Jin began his military service last December. Meanwhile, J-Hope is also set to unveil a solo album on the street this coming Friday.
A more drastic fluctuation in daily temperatures will prevail tomorrow. While the mornings will be cold and a negative territory for most regions, maximum temperatures will be jumping significantly. While Seoul will see a gap of 10 degrees Celsius, other regions such as Changsu and Kimcheon will see bigger differences. During this time of the year, when we're going through seasonal changes, it's much easier to catch a cold. In the meantime, further parts of inland regions are currently under dry weather advisories. That includes Seoul and the surrounding regions. The presence of dry air mass may bring relatively windy conditions, which will increase the risk of wildfires. Dry spells will persist for the time being, so please continue to take precautions against fires. And sunny spells will dominate nationwide for the morning. Seoul will be starting off at 0 degrees. Highs in Seoul will jump to 10 degrees, Gwangju 16, Gyeongju will be warm at 17 degrees. And starting on Wednesday afternoon, sunny spells will make a return here in Seoul. That's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
This brings us to the end of tonight's newscast. Thank you for watching. Hope everyone has a great start of the week.